In the small town of Ravenwood, nestled deep within the woods, a legend whispered among the locals sent shivers down their spines. The tale of the ghostly hitchhiker haunted the winding roads, a specter seeking vengeance on those who had forsaken them in their hour of need. The story had been passed down through generations, a cautionary reminder of the consequences of turning a blind eye to the lost souls that wandered the lonely highways. One dark and stormy night, two young friends, Emily and Mark, found themselves driving along the desolate stretch of road that led out of Ravenwood. The rain lashed against the windshield. The wind howled as if echoing the anguish of the forsaken spirits that roamed the woods. As they rounded a sharp curve, their headlights caught sight of a figure standing in the pouring rain, drenched and shivering. "Should we stop?" Emily asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Mark glanced at the hitchhiker, a silhouette of desperation against the night sky. "It's probably just some lost soul looking for a ride. We can't leave them out here in this storm." With a hesitant nod, Emily slowed the car and pulled over, the wipers struggling to clear the sheets of rain obscuring their vision. The hitchhiker climbed into the back seat, their face hidden beneath a hood, their presence sending a chill through the air. "Thank you," the hitchhiker whispered, their voice ethereal and haunting. "I have been waiting for someone to finally offer me a ride." As they drove on, the hitchhiker's presence seemed to weigh heavily on the atmosphere within the car. Emily stole glances at them through the rearview mirror, but their features remained obscured in shadows. Mark tried to make small talk, but the hitchhiker remained silent, their gaze fixed on the road ahead. Soon, they reached the outskirts of Ravenwood, the storm abating as quickly as it had begun. The hitchhiker directed them to a desolate crossroads, where they asked to be led out. "Thank you for your kindness," the hitchhiker said, their voice filled with a strange mixture of gratitude and sorrow. "Remember me, for one day, I will return to claim what is rightfully mine." With those ominous words, the hitchhiker vanished into the darkness, leaving Emily and Mark in a state of unease. They tried to brush off the encounter as a mere coincidence, a strange encounter on a stormy night, but the memory lingered like a shadow in the back of their minds. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of the ghostly hitchhiker began to fade. Until one fateful night, as they drove along the same stretch of road, they saw a figure in the distance, hitchhiking in the rain. Emily's hands clenched the steering wheel, her heart pounding in her chest. "It can't be," Mark muttered, his voice tinged with disbelief. But as they drew closer, there was no denying the truth. The same hooded figure stood by the side of the road, their form barely visible through the downpour. "We have to stop," Emily said, her voice trembling with fear. Mark hesitated, his mind flooded with memories of the hitchhiker's ominous warning. But something compelled him to pull over, to offer a second chance to the lost soul that haunted their past. As the figure climbed into the back seat, the air grew colder, a palpable sense of foreboding settling over them like a shroud. The hitchhiker's features were still hidden, their presence sending a chill down Emily's spine. "Thank you for stopping," the hitchhiker said, their voice a haunting whisper. "I have been waiting for this moment." The drive back to Ravenwood was fraught with tension, the hitchhiker's silence a heavy weight upon them. When they reached the crossroads where they had dropped off the hitchhiker before, a sense of dread settled over Emily and Mark like a dark cloud. "You will be fine," the hitchhiker said, their voice sending shivers down their spines. "Remember me, for the debt that is owed will be paid in blood." With those chilling words, the hitchhiker vanished into the night, leaving Emily and Mark shaken to their core. They tried to convince themselves that it was just a coincidence, a series of strange events that held no real significance. But deep down, they knew that the ghostly hitchhiker's revenge was far from over. As days turned into nights, the specter of the hitchhiker loomed over them like a dark shadow. They saw glimpses of them in the reflections of windows, felt their presence in the chill of the night air. And then, one stormy night, as they drove along the same stretch of road, they saw the figure once more, waiting in the rain. "We can't keep running from this," Emily said, her voice resolute. "We have to confront whatever it is that haunts us." Mark nodded, his gaze fixed on the hooded figure that stood by the side of the road. With a deep breath, he pulled over, his heart pounding in his chest as the hitchhiker climbed into the back seat. This time, as they drove through the rain-soaked night, the hitchhiker spoke, their voice a mournful echo of the past. "I was abandoned on these roads, left to wander in search of redemption," the hitchhiker said, their words weighted with sorrow. "But now, it is your turn to face the consequences of your actions." Emily and Mark exchanged uneasy glances, a sense of impending doom weighing heavily upon them. When they reached the crossroads, the hitchhiker turned to them, their head falling back to reveal a face twisted with rage and despair. "You failed to show me kindness when I needed it most," the hitchhiker cried, their voice echoing with the pain of 1,000 lost souls. "Now, you will pay the price for your indifference." With a wave of their ethereal hand, the hitchhiker disappeared into the night, leaving Emily and Mark alone in the darkness. And as the storm raged on around them, they knew that the ghostly hitchhiker's revenge had been exacted, a chilling reminder of the consequences of turning a blind eye to the lost and the forsaken. And from that day on, the legend of the ghostly hitchhiker grew, a cautionary tale whispered among the people of Ravenwood, a reminder of the debts that must always be repaid.